Hi, in this video, I'd like to introduce myself, recognizing that many of you might have wandered here from Jimmie's page, curious about who I am, the motivations behind my actions. Is it driven by ego or perhaps monetary gain? However, as we delve deeper into life's stories, we often find a more nuanced picture. I prefer to share my story in my own words rather than leave it to be interpreted by others. What follows isn't a boast about, rather a glimpse into my interests and experiences, which have shaped who I am today. Through shared experiences, I hope to connect with you and share similar passions. So to start, I was born an identical twin. I experienced a colorful education from being disciplined by nuns in a Catholic school to being expelled for orchestrating fights. My journey took me through tumultuous waves of public schools and into the embrace of surfing, where I challenged waves often 3 times my height. Early encounters with the formidable power of nature instilled in me a deep respect for the elements, alongside a resilience against fear. My work life has been equally diverse, from managing a head shop at 19, surrounded by bongs and pipes, to engaging deeply in ceramics and fine arts in college. I've dived into the worlds of Dungeons and Dragons, worked in a hospital where my responsibilities range from handling medical specimens to physically restraining patients in distress. The experience of helping a childhood friend in a harrowing emergency left an impression on me when he tried to cut his head off with a chainsaw. My interests have led me down various paths, from being a Volkswagen enthusiast, restoring cars and rebuilding engines, to experiencing the raw energy of a G.G. Allin concert. I've dedicated a decade to water treatment. I led a team mastering water chemistry, eventually guiding me to the fields of automated controls and HVAC systems. My passion for car stereo systems taught me the intricacies of sound engineering, from building speaker boxes to configuring complex audio setups. My professional journey continued to evolve as I became the head of IT for an electrical contractor, later founding my own IT consulting business, which I currently do to this day, and currently also working with a Cloud A computing support company. Outside of my day job, I share my expertise as a freelance trainer and producer in sound production and recording. Music has been a constant companion, leading me to form my own band where I play guitar and bass. This eclectic mix of experiences and interests defines me. It's not just about what I do, but why I do it, a reflection of a life lived with curiosity, an undying desire to explore and connect. That brings us to the 800-pound elephant in the room, Jimmie Rex Wiseman. Now, I met Jimmie at Guitar Center around 4 years ago. This was long before his YouTube channel. We started up conversations around music. I found Jimmie, as most people do, quite odd and different. But as I've stated before, I am not intimidated with people, and Jimmie sounded like a creative guy with a completely different take on things. As one of my other friends would say, that dude is spun, he's on drugs. But over time, I got to know him. Not only was that not true, but Jimmie would always tell me the truth, which to me is very rare, especially now with managing some of his YouTube stuff. We have completely mean people that get on there and lie about who they are and say the most awful things. At the time, he was separated from his wife and was essentially homeless, staying at either a friend's house or a motel. I would pick him up on some weekends to play and make some music and drop him off afterwards. I still have some of his earliest recordings on a 505 looper. It's only recently that after putting some pieces together, which I'm quite good at, I've discovered that there's a good chance Jimmie is on the autism spectrum, which includes Asperger's. An individual with Asperger's syndrome, deeply engrossed in guitar and 80s rock and roll, might exhibit unique fashion choices such as very short shorts and distinct hairstyles, aligning with their specialized interests. Their openness and tendency to overshare, combined with a preference for platforms like strip chat, reflects a lack of awareness regarding social norms and how their actions are perceived. This behavior highlights the diverse ways individuals with Asperger's engage with their interests, often overlooking conventional boundaries in their enthusiasm to connect and share. Now, I've had access to Jimmie and his account, and I see no evidence of any illegal interest than any average heterosexual male would have. It is my belief that any poor interactions with Jimmie is his inability to read social situations and cues, which can make him strange. Most people are not like me. They are afraid of people of different behaviors and misread this as dirty or germ-like. Let's remember, in World War II, Germany, they saw people that had different minds, like Jimmie, or disabilities, or the unkept, as dirty. They found out that Hitler essentially was a germaphobe. That was his problem. So whenever you see things that to you appear unclean, of course, you want to get rid of that. And that's where Jimmie, to me anyways, is kind of the canary in the coal mine, so to speak. If Jimmies can't walk around this world and kind of be who they are, then maybe your family member is going to be the next one in line. Maybe they have a little odd behavior or they scare someone else. So let's be careful on how and who we judge them before we start judging them with accusations. If not, you just come across as just a bad human being. As far as Jimmie and our conversations, we really talk about art a lot, and we talk about the meaning of life. And there was one statement I heard where someone said maybe the meaning of life is really discovering who you really are as a person. And that's pretty profound. And that's something that I think Jimmie and I are exploring through our musical styles, is like who we are. So I've done nothing but encourage Jimmie to, first of all, just be authentic himself. I definitely do not want to change the stripes on the tiger. But on the other hand, I've also told him, we kind of have to thread the needle. There's social acceptableness in regards to his dress attire and how people perceive him, and then also being the rock and roll guy. And that's a tough needle to thread, and I'm kind of on shaky grounds with that. I can only really suggest things to Jimmie and where it makes sense, and then if it makes sense to him, then he says, yeah, that makes sense, and he goes forward with it. In regards to the Asperger's, I highly suspect that he's there. So I gave him some reading material. I said, look, don't make any judgment on it. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. Just means you may have some blind spots that, you should maybe address. So gave them some reading material on that, see where it can help him. And as far as people criticizing me in regards to, well, I'm not a doctor or what have you, I get that. But let's be clear here. Fields in psychology rarely even agree with each other. That's why your insurance, at best, only covers 50% on your insurance. Also, who's to say that the mentally ill or some of the mentally ill don't actually see the world for what it is? If you're depressed, maybe you're actually seeing the world for the way it is. Maybe it's more of a philosophical way of seeing things, and it has nothing to do with having to give you a bunch of drugs and SSRIs. Also, the DSM recently put out where body dysmorphia doesn't exist. It used to exist, now it doesn't exist at all. So a man's a woman, a woman's a man. There's no difference in between. So like I said, if you're trying to make that argument, hang your hat on it, good luck with that. Anyways, thanks for listening to my long diatribe. I appreciate it. I look forward to putting out more music. We're going to put out some crazy stuff, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it.